My phone buzzed on the polished conference table, lighting up with Dad's caller ID. A cold dread settled in my stomach. He hadn't called me directly in 3 years, not since handing my older sister, Sophia, the keys to our family's $80 million construction empire while I got a pat on the back and a vague operations oversight title, Amara. His voice was gravel, stripped of its usual CEO boom. You need to come to the office, now, what's wrong? I asked, already shutting my laptop in my modest home office, a world away from the corner suite Sophia occupied. It's the Orion Tower project, he said, and I could hear the weight of the world in those 4 words. Orion Tower, the $19 million luxury high-rise that was supposed to be Sterling Construction's crowning achievement, the project Sophia had paraded in every business journal. The client just pulled the plug. They're citing catastrophic delays and safety violations. They're suing, he paused and the silence stretched, filled with everything he wouldn't say. Finally, he sighed, the sound heavy with defeat. Sophia, she can't handle this. I need you to fix it. For 28 years, I'd lived in my sister's impeccably curated shadow. The reliable one. The boring one. The one who actually knew how the business ran from the ground up. This time, fixing it would come at my price. Sterling Construction was my father's 3rd child. Born from grit and sweat, Marcus Sterling built skyscrapers with his name on them. A literal legacy cemented in steel and glass. He had 2 daughters, Sophia, the charismatic visionary with a Stanford MBA and a smile that could land contracts, and me, Amara, the quiet engineer with a Caltech degree and a love for blueprints. Our roles were assigned at birth. Sophia was the heir, the face, the one who wore designer suits to charity galas and gave inspiring talks about building the future. I was the foundation, the one in steel-toed boots on job sites at 6 a.m., the one who could tell you the load-bearing capacity of a beam by looking at it, the one who ensured the future Sophia sold actually stood upright. When Dad retired at 65. The succession was a foregone conclusion. The board meeting was a coronation. Flutes of champagne clinked as Dad announced Sophia as the new CEO. Her vision will take us to new heights. He'd boomed. My new title? Vice President of Operations. My consolation prize? You're the engine, Amara. Every great machine needs one. Sophia's vision was expensive. She pivoted to flashy, complex luxury projects that looked stunning in renders but were logistical nightmares. She hired her trendy, overpaid friends as consultants. She ignored the bread and butter commercial contracts that paid our bills. My warnings, sent in detailed memos and quiet conversations, were dismissed as resistance to innovation and a lack of ambition. The Orion Tower was her masterpiece, a 40-story glass monolith. She'd secured the deal by underbidding and overpromising. I'd seen the project timelines. They were fantasy. I deflagged the subcontractor. She chose a firm known for cutting corners. She'd overruled me. You worry too much, Amara. This is how you play the game. The call from the Orion client's lawyers wasn't a surprise to me. It was an inevitability. The photos they attached to their termination notice were damning: improper steel welds, faulty electrical conduits, safety rails that wouldn't hold a child. The project was 6 months behind and a lawsuit waiting to happen. Now, with the $19 million gone and our company's reputation in freefall, Dad was calling the daughter he'd relegated to the background. Not to apologize, not to acknowledge I'd been right, but to clean up the mess his chosen heir had made. I drove to the headquarters, my mind not on the crisis but on the opportunity. This was my leverage, and for the first time in my life, I intended to use it. The executive floor was a tomb. Assistants scurried with panic in their eyes. Through the glass wall of the corner office, I saw Sophia, not commanding but crumpled in her designer chair, staring blankly at her phone. Dad was in the boardroom, pacing. He looked old. The powerful, imposing Marcus Sterling was gone, replaced by a worried father watching his life's work implode. Tell me you have a plan, he said, dispensing with greetings. I've had a plan, I replied coolly, setting my tablet on the table. For the past 18 months. It's in the report Sophia archived, and the memos you told me were too negative. I pulled up the evidence. The flagged safety inspections. The emails from our head foreman begging for certified welders. The comparative cost analysis showing how her chosen subcontractor was 40% cheaper because they used unlicensed labor. A digital paper trail of neglect leading straight to Sophia's door. His face paled as he scrolled. Why wasn't I shown this? You were, I said, my voice steady. I presented it at the Q3 review. You said, and I quote, don't stifle your sister's momentum with bureaucratic fearmongering. The truth landed like a hammer. His favoritism had blinded him, and now it was costing him $19 million and the company's good name. The rising action wasn't just about the client. It was about the mutiny within. My phone started buzzing. Texts from project managers, veteran foreman, our CFO *, heard about Orion. Is it true? If Sophia stays, I walk. Amara, we all walk. The crew only trusts you. What's the move? Their loyalty wasn't to the CEO in the corner office. It was to me, the one who knew their names, fought for their budgets, and stood beside them in the mud. Dad proposed a desperate solution. I'll come back as interim CEO, you'll be chief operations officer, full authority. We'll salvage this together. The old Amara would have leaped. Finally, real power. A seat at the table. But I saw the trap. I would be the surgeon operating without the authority to remove the tumor. I'd stabilize the patient and then Sophia would return to her throne. Slightly wiser but still in charge. No, I said. He stared, uncomprehending. What do you mean, no? This is a crisis. It's her crisis, I clarified. Built on her decisions. I will not use my credibility with our team and our remaining clients to save her face. Not again. Then what do you want? He demanded, frustration mounting. I want what the company needs, I stated. I become Chief Executive Officer of Operations. A new, equal division. Sophia becomes CEO of Client Relations and Development. She keeps her title but loses all operational control. I have final sign-off on all project budgets, timelines, and contractor selections. She reports to the board on her projects, but the execution is mine, completely. It was a coup. A splitting of the kingdom. You're asking me to undermine my own daughter in front of the entire company. I'm asking you to save your company, I fired back. The one you built. You gave her the business because she's your daughter. I'm asking you to give me the responsibility because I'm the only one who can save it. My terms, or I resign today and take my team with me. See how many projects finished without us. I had never threatened him before. The words hung in the air, brutal and final. I was no longer the loyal daughter pleading for recognition. I was a force of nature, and the storm had finally rivaled. The standoff lasted 48 hours. The company bled. 2 more clients called with concerns. Key superintendents threatened to quit. The board was in emergency sessions. On the 3rd morning, I was summoned back. The full board was present, along with a shell-shocked Sophia and a defeated-looking dad. The power in the room had irreversibly shifted from the charismatic heir to the competent engineer. Your proposal is radical. Amara, the lead board member, Mrs. Chen, stated. The situation is radical, I countered. We're not facing a public relations problem. We're facing an existential one. Our core competence building things correctly and on time has been compromised. My division will restore that. Sophia's division will focus on rebuilding trust and securing new work. Under strict operational guidelines I set. I presented my first 100 days plan. It was ruthless. It involved firing Sophia's expensive consultant friends, rehiring the old guard commercial contractors she dismissed, and launching a top-to-bottom safety audit on every active site. It would be expensive and painful in the short term. It was also the only path to survival. And my role? Sophia's voice was small, stripped of its usual confidence. You will personally accompany me to every meeting with the Orion Group's lawyers, I said. Meeting her eyes. You will listen. You will not speak unless I indicate. You will then lead the client apology tour to our top 10 other clients. You will explain, without excuses, how we failed and what we're doing to fix it. Your job is to retain the business we haven't yet lost. It was a humiliation. A very public demotion. She looked to our father for rescue. He looked down at the table. The protector had become a pragmatist. The board approves the new structure on a 6-month trial basis, Mrs. Chen announced. Amara, the floor is yours. Save this company. The climax was quiet, but the ground had shaken. I was no longer in the background. I was the background, the foundation, and now, finally, the architect. My first act was to call the head of the Orion Group. I didn't flatter. I didn't negotiate. Mr. Vance, I said. Amara Sterling. I've reviewed the termination notice. You are 100% justified. The work was unacceptable. I am now in full operational control. If you will allow it, I will be on site tomorrow with a new crew. I will personally supervise the demolition of every substandard element at our cost. I will provide you with a daily live feed of the work. After you see 1 week of what my team can do, we can discuss whether you want to proceed with us or hire someone else. No contract. No promises. Just 1 week to show you who we really are. Asterisk the silence on the line was long. Then, a grunt. 1 week, Miss Sterling, not a day more. And I'll be watching. Asterisk asterisk the next 6 months were the most grueling of my life. I lived on job sites. I worked alongside the crews, my engineering boots covered in concrete dust. Sophia, to her credit, did the apology tour. She was humble, honest, and for the first time, she listened. She learned about shear walls and load schedules and why you can't rush a concrete pour. Asterisk we didn't just fix Orion Tower. We rebuilt it into a case study for excellence. We won back the client's trust and even secured an addendum for 2 additional buildings. Asterisk internally, the culture shifted. Morale soared. The old way, the careful, quality-first way my father had built the company on was back. Now fused with modern efficiency tech I implemented, asterisk at the 6-month review. The board didn't just make the new structure permanent. They voted to rename the company. It was no longer just Sterling Construction. It was Sterling Legacy Group. Asterisk my father stood to make the announcement. Legacy, he said, his voice thick with emotion, isn't about a name on a building. It's about what that building stands for. For too long, I confused charisma with capability. I almost cost us everything. He looked at me, his eyes glistening. Amara has not just saved this company. She has returned its soul. She is the legacy. Effective immediately, she is chairwoman of the board and chief executive officer. Sophia, your talents in vision and client relations are now the engine of our growth. Reporting to your sister as chief vision officer, asterisk Sophia stood and walked over to me. Instead of a handshake, she pulled me into a hug. A real one. Thank you for not letting me destroy Dad's dream, she whispered. Asterisk Dad gave my sister the business. And in doing so, he forced me to build my own. A better one, stronger, more honest. He taught me that sometimes the greatest inheritance isn't what you're given, but what you have the courage to take for yourself, not out of greed, but out of necessity and for the good of everyone who depends on you. Asterisk today. My office has a view of the skyline, but I still keep my steel-toed boots under my desk. A reminder that true leadership isn't built in a corner suite. It's poured, day by day, on the foundation of competence, respect, and the unwavering courage to do what's right, even when it means confronting the people you love.